Hello everyone, welcome to the Concern Podcast where we unpack political, socio-economic and cultural stories shaping our world. I am Emmanuel Taban. Now yesterday, the President of the Republic of South Sudan, Salva held a national prayer breakfast at Statehouse in J1. And here are some pictures that were taken yesterday from J1. You can see them here. The event brought in different people of all sorts of life. The political class, the presidency, different governors, members of cabinet, and members of National Assembly. It brought in the religious leaders, as I said, the civil society, the business community, and all other people. And the major reasons why that event was held, apparently, was that so God would actually intervene in solving the problems of the country, what are things to do with peace that people have been looking for quite long, and so people would actually understand themselves. So that's the major reason why that event was organized at J1. And the event was spearheaded by the senior presidential envoy on a special program who doubles as the daughter to the president, Adut Salva. And in this video, I want to tell you why that event shouldn't have happened and why I feel that the reason why that event was organized, most of the things that they were expecting that event to solve, most of those things could have been done by human beings, but not through God's intervention. This is what exactly I'm going to be speaking in this video. But before we proceed, if this is your first time watching a video in this channel, please subscribe, hit on the notification button, like, comment. And if the videos interest you, of course, share with your friends. It's a way of making the channel grow. And when it grows, it motivates us to make more videos back to back. For those who have been supporting us, thanks for doing so. And back to the purpose of this video, as I said, the event that was organized yesterday in J1 shouldn't have happened, because the major reason why that event was organized was so that God would actually intervene in solving the problems that South Sudanese are going through, or South Sudan as a nation is going through. But to me, most of the problems that South Sudan is facing, most of the problems that South Sudanese are facing, don't really need God's intervention. I'm a Christian, I believe in God, but I also believe that faith without action is dead. And therefore, when you're praying to God to intervene, when you're praying to God to help you in certain things, and when you don't play the part of acting, of taking a major decision, then your prayer is in vain. The problem that South Sudanese are facing, whether being things to do with delayed salaries or unpaid salaries of civil servants, they don't need God to intervene. You don't want God to come down from heaven and start getting money from his banker and therefore start paying civil servants. No. That can easily be done by simple political will. The decision by the head of state to pen down a promise that starting from today onwards, the civil servants have to be paid regularly. That doesn't need God's intervention. It doesn't need God's intervention to forgive your political opponents. You don't need God to intervene. You just need to act. Another reason why I feel that event shouldn't have happened, because when we look at the reason why countries do have national prayer breakfasts, this event mainly brings in the people that forms the government, but the major opposition principles of that country. And that event that happened last night We had people mainly allied to the government, but we never had people that are so much allied to the opposition. An event such as that was held when the major persons who brings the sorts of divisions that we're seeing in the country is in detention, and that is Machar. An event such as that would have been so meaningful and relevant when we see President Kiir sitting and his main opponent, Machar, sitting beside him. That would have carried weight. Events such as these are meant for the political class, whether being in the opposition or government, to take breaks from political transactions, from political issues. And they have to sit down and recall the historical moments they've shared together and forgive themselves and just put out their ideas on how they want the country to be pushed ahead. This is the reason why we do have national prayer breakfast. But it is not entirely to rest your case on God and wait as you sit in your bedroom or in your offices and expect God to intervene and solve all problems. That doesn't work that way. We can have peace to come from above when we do have some people that call themselves, or that we refer to them as the holdout groups, that are still posing a threat to the country. They don't feel a sense of inclusion into the political happenings of our country. We do have holdout groups, and we're asking God to bring us peace when we don't see people that are out there still as a threat. I feel that should have been done by a simple political will, a will of political inclusion, a will of taking political actions, a will of forgiveness. That should have been done that way. And therefore, I strongly hold the view that the event that happened yesterday shouldn't have happened, because surely God is not going to intervene and bring the answers to the requests that were presented yesterday, because without our personal actions, without our individual decisions as the leaders of South Sudan, God is not going to intervene. He will never intervene at all. You cannot pray for peace when the major issue that is bringing instability in the country is the issue of division. And that even while that event is being held, we could easily see that some people are being excluded from it. And you expect God to descend from heaven and present you peace on a silver plate. That won't happen. But the most important thing, though, about the day that happened yesterday, that I also think it's positive, is when the senior presidential envoy came out and said that this day is going to remain in the political chronicles, is going to remain in the history of South Sudan, and that every single day we will have such an event organized. Perhaps the relevance, the importance of such a day will be realized ahead of us. And that when we continue to have such a day every year, perhaps we will try to redefine it and try to realize the importance of having it. But the importance of such a day, I feel, wasn't realized yesterday. Perhaps its importance we are yet to see ahead of us. And that can only be seen when it is put on annual schedules, and that every year we get to come to the statehouse. And I mean, regardless of what political view you hold, whether it's against the people that forms the government or in support of them, you all come together, sit as children of South Sudan, regardless of your political subscription, and you get to come down and think about your country first. That is a moment where people have to realize that apart from political alignings, we do exist as human beings. That is the purpose of such a day. So according to me, according to my view, the day of yesterday did not realize its importance. The importance of that day was not realized yesterday. Perhaps the day of yesterday has just set a precedent, has set a start so that we would actually realize the importance of such a day ahead of us. So, but to me, whatsoever was presented yesterday by the president or whosoever spoke, most of the problems of the country that they presented in requesting God to intervene, most of these problems would have been solved or would be solved by the political class. And they only need to act. Thank you so much. That's my view about the day of yesterday that happened at J1, the National Prayer Breakfast. And tell us in the comment section what you think about the day of yesterday. If it is something worthy or no, write down in the comment section. And for those who it's their first time, of course, watching a video on this channel, subscribe, hit the notification button so you can get notified of more videos that is coming ahead of us. Thank you so much. Until next time, I'm Emmanuel Taban, and this is the Concern Podcast.